You are now listening to Sentinel Soundbites.
So we are live.
All right, welcome back to the Sentinel Soundbite Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Bunnell. We are joined by School President, Mr. Matt Massey, and CFO, Mr. Andy Smith. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
Excited to be here again, Dylan.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I introduced you with both those titles, but we're actually going to look through a different lens for both of you today, talking athletics here at ASCTE. Both of you involved in our administration, both also coach sports too. Want to talk about that first, and Mr. Massey, I guess it kind of starts with you, and you having this culture built with the school faculty coaching, our leadership coaching. Let's talk about that first before we get into the origins of the athletics.
Yeah, I guess it really goes back and centers to the mission of the school, and that's to ensure our students are learning. How do you gauge that learning? What supports learning? And for students to learn, they've got to be safe, and they need to be happy and connected. And that connected is more than just logging in and receiving information from a teacher. It's about building a community. And so much of that is clubs and sports and activities. And that's kind of one of the things when we started. Every student has to be in a club or a sport. Every adult that works in this building has to help support a club, an after-school activity, or a sport. And I do that for myself. I'm the assistant tennis coach, and Andy is our CFO, COO, and coaches multiple sports. And so that has to be set kind of from the top as well. So when students feel connected, they're more engaged in the classroom, and it also gives a little bit of time to kind of, close the laptop, engage with some of your fellow students, and it's really important about building a culture of learning. You've got to have that extracurricular piece as well.
Cool. Well, Mr. Smith, turn that to you and get you here. You're coming over here and school CFO and been in boarding schools. Were you expecting to be coaching and, much less multiple sports and the head coach of one of them?
I kind of was. My previous school, I kind of did the same thing. And, it's a great way to engage and get connected with the kids. And, I don't teach every day and connect with them. So this was kind of a different outlet to, make that happen.
And I'll kind of chime in on that too, and the connection of being a CFO and understanding, the finances of building programs from scratch. We're just in our fifth school year, but we're in our third year of having full members for the Alabama High School Athletic Association. So understanding, the cost of, hey, nobody has uniforms, nobody has equipment. We really don't have any facilities until, I know we can get into that here in a minute now, but also using our sports teams to be an ambassador of the school. So now our sports teams are traveling and playing in Mobile and in Tuscaloosa and in Birmingham. So, understanding why that's important to the value of the school, and Andy does an awesome job with that as CFO of getting that and making it fit in the budget.
So to turn the clock back then, as the school's being established, we talk about in episode 1 with Senator Orr, kind of beginnings, athletics weren't necessarily a scope the school's achieving. But as we got here and the program's gone, talk about, discovering the need for athletics, what that looked like, why. I've heard you talk about it wasn't necessarily a forefront initiative, but developing the athletic program and then what that looked like from building it from scratch.
Well, we knew that we wanted to do it. When I got hired in, I knew we wanted to have these types of programs. And it also helps with the branding and messaging of the school. Students will wear the colors if it's associated with the team. You're just naturally getting more inventory in. And I visited a lot of schools that focus, very academic, STEM-focused, high expectation schools that don't have sports, and there's really no brand. Like, if you see those, it's like, what is even their mascot? What are their colors? And so we wanted to have that. So in our very first year, we actually did have sports, but we're associate members of the Athletic Association, which means we weren't in an area or a region. We didn't compete for playoffs the first 2 years. And that was really our intent, is we didn't really care about the championship part of it. We wanted to be competitive, but really kind of help brand the school. But it was hard kind of getting a schedule. It didn't help that we were in a pandemic. So actually there were no fall sports that year. We're kind of, on edge. And we had a basketball team with 6 people. Now we only had 72 kids in the first year of the school. So we but we field a basketball team, and in the spring we field a tennis team and a soccer team. And then the next year we went up to about 150 students. That got a little bit easier. And so now we've got just huge participation with multiple varsity and JV teams, and being a 3A size school. That's, I went back and looked, and we have like 70% of our girls play a sport, and it's about the same percentage for boys too. So it just really cool that kids that come here, they probably wouldn't play a sport at their high schools where they were. So to have that opportunity is really cool to see. But that was the plan from the beginning. But the fervor in which the participation has happened, we didn't really anticipate that.
Well, and I know both of you coach teams that have had success at the state level. Our tennis team, our swimming team, both have played in state tournaments, placed in state tournaments. Talk about how, and Mr. Smith, I'll start with you. The view, we're this great academic institution, but having a chance also to go out and have like a high level of success in the athletic field, and the chance getting to represent the school and what that kind of means for you and what you've witnessed as a result of that.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. Starting the swim team 4 years ago at the Oakwood pool with no lap lanes or anything like that, just kind of an open body of water, to kind of like where we are now. And we had 6 initial swimmers who are actually now seniors. We're going to have a banquet later this week and celebrate them. But yeah, just to see their growth and their journey, and from day one, and that also attracts other students to want to come to our school and develop our program.
Well, and Mr. Massey, you kind of spoke to that as far as us getting out and exposing the brand. Like tennis is a sport that's done that at a high, from competing at the state tournament to you guys just make trips throughout the year. Talk about the importance of that, with it being a attractor to the school as well.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of these students, they're part of their adolescence and growing up is participating in a sport. That's kind of the culture that we have here in the South, and it's not something we wanted to make those families feel like, hey, we've got to give this up to have this elite academic experience. Now, we do choose the sports that fit the culture of the school. We don't have a football team. That requires a lot of players, a big budget, and a lot of adults to coach that. So we do have an association with an independent 8-man football team that's kind of pretty much consists of homeschoolers. So our students, we have about 10 students that participate in that. We don't have baseball or softball because that requires really refined skills and a lot of time and expertise and hours of prep. So again, we don't have those sports, but we pretty much have everything else. So every season we'll have 3 or 4 sports happening with that. Tennis is a pretty easy one because everybody plays tennis the same way. Soccer is pretty easy to do because everybody's got the same skill set with that. So we felt like we've been really strategic in choosing what we want to do, and students have come and adding more programs. So like wrestling last year was a new program. With only one student really having experience in that, but we're in the second year of that. So we still have the capacity to add, but we want to make sure we're doing it in a way that fits what we can support.
And on the note of adding, start selfishly, today's the first day of soccer practice. A new project we've had going on is the addition of a new soccer field here on campus. We're also building the Sentinel Center, but talk about kind of the facilities that we offer and the importance of having those. And as a school that's not really had a home base for much of our sports programs, we are right there hosting things here on campus, and what the future looks like here on the campus for our sports.
Well, we are excited. We're getting our turf soccer field that is in place, and it's muddy around it, so we've got to get the entrance and exit on before we get the fencing up. But we've got partners with Alabama Powers installing lights for that, so we're actually going to have a lit field, and that's one of the roles that Andy has as COO, of kind of like making sure that managing that process is staying on time and knowing where we're at on that. So that's another cool thing of having Andy's expertise in that with the finance, but also the operations. And next up we're going to have a Sentinel Center that's going to be a mix of arts and music and drama, but also a place for volleyball and basketball, and we'll be able to host games, and that's set to open in November, late next fall.
November.
So that's really exciting too.
A lot of fun going on. What, Mr. Smith, he talked about your involvement on the operational side, but just I'm going to come at more having these facilities here, and with us being a boarding school, you have experienced that in the past. Students having access to be at the game, the environments that can kind of create. What maybe should people of our community expect when we get to start hosting games here, and having people here on campus to come support?
I would say large crowds. Our residential kids especially love to come and support our teams, and whether it's spirit buses with basketball, with swimming, it's kind of hard when you're off site to get kids to come to the pool, and with the meets being so long, it's difficult. But actually having it here on site will, I would say, dramatically increase that.
Yeah, exciting times ahead indeed.
Yeah.
And with both of those projects come exposure to your programs, being able to have a home base. Is that something that when we got ready to move to this campus, that was really in the vision of, man, we want to have all those things here, and what has created the possibility to do that?
Yeah, it was really how do you bring, this school exists for the whole state, and we were in designing this, how can we bring the public to the campus? And yeah, that is hosting athletic events. It's also hosting robotics competitions. We're going to see if we can host maybe the state robotics competition, get more folks kind of engaged in that. And it really ended up being almost, I can see that being a community center as well for the whole state to kind of have access to. So it is really exciting in addition. And, and every high school in the state I know of has a gym to be able to support those student life activities. And so just the depth of gratitude that I have for coaches and the players that for 4 years and in our 5th year now have practiced and played with no home gym to practice in. I mean, every practice is off campus. Every home game is not really a home game. So to be able to have that is going to just bring, with time and feeding dinners of residential students, but also to kind of be a place to rally around. It's really cool.
Yeah, and I want to highlight our coaches for a second. Just doing some homework before this, I don't remember the exact number, but we have a large number of coaches who played their sport, some even at the collegiate level, have coached at the collegiate. Like we have, I guess the perception you would hear the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering and not think, what would you accredit the ability to, you have Mr. Smith was a swimmer and now coaches our swim team, Coach Blanding being a high-level basketball. We have guys and girls everywhere that were very proficient in their sport that are here now pouring back into it. What would you kind of attribute that to, and the ability to build that team?
Well, everybody is talented in a multifaceted way, and to me, there's something about the spirit of competition and working as a team that sports does that, but archery does that as well. We have over 60 students participating in archery, and we're one of the top 3 programs in the state. Our Scholars Bowl team is the #1 team in the state. And so there's something about, our drama team won the state competition last year. So there's something about like creating a culture that's supportive of each other, but also it is, hey, here's a goal. We're competing. Let's go be competitive and win. And so I think you see that not just in what is a sanctioned HSA sport, but in kind of everything we do. And that's really the qualities that you really want to develop out of these graduates going in the workforce, wherever their job is. The goal is to win, whether it's that contractor, build that satellite or rocket, make it be the best that it can be.
All right, so one thing, we have this very unique deal being a boarding school. How do you create support in that setting for your student athletes, being we don't have necessarily that community base like most schools do with families right here? What does that look like, the challenges with that, and then how do you present, to solve that problem?
Yeah, it is a challenge anytime you have students that live 100, 200, 300 miles away from here. One of the things those parents do want to be engaged. So we're looking at live streaming all of our sports, our home sports, next year when we host those, to get those parents feel connected. It's a little bit tougher in the summer when everybody goes home. There's, in the state of Alabama, there's a lot of summer work that happens with sports. So that's kind of a tough obstacle to overcome. But when we have students that are here on the weekends, they're living with us. And we do close on weekends, about one weekend a month on that. So there are times where you have host families kind of bring in, or they go stay with the teammate. So a lot goes into supporting that. With that, it does limit you on some things, but it also kind of builds, in a sense, it's kind of a family atmosphere of the folks on the team. So we just kind of embrace that part of it.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for taking the time with us today to talk ASCTE athletics. Good luck to swim. I guess you're in the little off season now.
We're
You get
done.
to
We're done for the season.
get to press pause, get ready for next
And
fall.
bowling. Is it bowling?
Bowling
coach
as
too?
well.
Finished bowling. We almost, I think we got third or fourth place
And
in our region. for
Mr.
bowling
Massey,
this
big
year.
tennis season we're expecting coming up.
It is. We need to get some warmer weather here and get out there and run around.
Here you will. Thanks so much for your time. Look forward to getting to talk to you again soon. So we are live. All right.